All right, hello. Um, this is not my artwork. This is somebody's managed to do this quite nicely. We've got Donald Trump as Palpatine here. Okay. I think this is a video on YouTube actually, but anyway, I'm getting sidetracked already. I want to. I'm going to talk about Order 66. Okay, in this connection with 66 through to the date we've been looking at, which is 9/1 for the Hoover Dam, or something to kick off at least, maybe to do with World War III. So I've got a lot of kind of interesting little connections with this date. So we're going to be running through a whole bunch of tabs here, backwards and forwards. I'm going to be all over the place. It's kind of going to suck from that point of view, but there are some really interesting connections in here. So you're going to have to bear with me a little bit on this one. I'm going to try and go as fast as I can. What even got me started on this was a comment from Eva Dam. Thank you. She shared with me or in the comments at least, her experience of Jaws as a kid, because we were doing the decodes on Jaws there, and having her father take her to watch Jaws when she was a little kid, and then having these, kind of nightmares about Jaws and not being able to go back in the ocean and all this kind of stuff. Well, I had a similar experience with my father taking me to the cinema when I was young, and I said to her, "At least you got a decent monster, a proper monster, because my monster was E.T." Oh dear, my dad took me. I think I was 4, and couldn't nightmares and not being able to sleep in my room. And what the problem was is, if you recall in the film, E.T. hides in the closet with all the toys. Well, I had the exact same closet doors in my bedroom as they had with the toy closet, or whatever the closet was, where E.T. was hiding. So of course I was absolutely petrified of sleeping in my room, or even being in my room. Oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, then those doors ended up having to come off, and I've never been the same since old ET. But anyway, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go back and check out because there's something that bugs me about the ET thing. I've done decodes on it before, and we're gonna go to the Hoover Dam scene in ET. Yes, there is one. And it's this scene here. Okay, you can see right here, they're on this sort of, really what's going on here is Michael's just come to find E.T., kind of disappeared, and there's this sort of storm drain come embankment here that is very symbolic, or very like a dam. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. And E.T.'s at the bottom of it, not looking so hot. But the thing that's interesting about this scene is the fact that there's a bloody raccoon right here. Now, they didn't need to put this in the film. I mean, it doesn't really add anything to the actual scene. Okay. Yeah, and this raccoon would have already probably, like, I'm not being funny, but probably would have already eaten most of E.T.'s head. This, if it was alone with E.T. for just 5 minutes, But anyway, why'd they put it in there? Well, honestly, I think it is for the gematria. Let's just look at raccoon. It's the 66. Okay, the 66. And it got me thinking about, oh, you know what? And there was actually some comments in that video as well about Order 66 in that little clip that I just showed you there. Was that somebody actually commented about Order 66 in the comments as well? And I'm thinking, okay, the raccoon is 66. 66, we've just talked about a guy that was 66 as well, to do with the military, which is Pete Hegseth. Okay, and we'll go back through that little bit of a decode that was connected back to Marty, and I did that with the US Army parade, the connection back with For Mary and Back to the Future. So if you've seen the video, then you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen that video, it's several videos back now. Okay, the U.S. Army Form Area Decode. Okay, but in there, Pete Hegseth's birthday happens to be on 6/6.
Power off.
And what is interesting about 6/6 is it just happens to be 88 days through to 9/1, which is this date we've been looking at for something maybe at the Hoover Dam, something to kick off, maybe to do with World War III. You know, it's pretty doom and gloom, I'm afraid to say, but this is the 88 miles an hour. You're going to see some serious SHIT, and here's the 6/6 date that we're going from here. Now, what is interesting with that raccoon reference as well is we actually have Marty's, well, I say Marty's birthday, but Michael J. Fox's birthday here as well. So this is interesting with this connection back to the 6/6 and to Michael J. Fox through Marty, because let me show you the Pete Hegseth thing right now. Actually, here's Pete Hegseth's birthday, just so we're on the same page. June 6, 1980. He's 45 right now, and we're going to look at. I'm trying to think where I've got his number jump here. Oh dear, Dan. Actually, I probably don't have it in here. I'll tell you what I want to do though. Well, anyway, it's 88. It's 45 years and 88 days. Anyway, this connection with him, with the 6/6, and then Michael J. Fox with the 9/6, is this connection through his name in the gematria. It's down the bottom of here. Okay, if we look at the bottom of here, let's just get it to where we just got those two up. Okay, Marty McFly, yeah, is a 136, 46, 53. Peter Hegseth, so we've got to put this, you know, because we've got to put the R on the end of Peter, is a 136, 64, so we've got kind of a little bit of a match there. 53, so we've got like a double, got two numbers lining up, and maybe a third with the numerology, yeah, just a reversal here. So there's this connection with obviously Michael J. Fox and Marty being the baby that has to get to 88 miles an hour, yeah, to get home, and then this connection with Pete Hegseth with the matchup here. Okay. So this is I mean, you know, this is kind of interesting with the 88. You know, when this baby hits 88, okay, because obviously if we're talking about a baby, we want to look at a birthday, okay. So this is just super duper interesting, just the little connections, right? Anyway, this brings me on to Star Wars. So in the film, let's just run through it real quick. It's number 3 of the new ones. Okay. No, yeah, well, it's number 3. Yeah, okay, sorry. It's number 3. Obviously, it's the old ones. So it's number 3. Doesn't matter, you know. Anyway, number 3. And I'm sorry, I'm not a complete Star Wars geek. I mean, I watch it, but I don't know all the facts and all the ins and outs of the film and everything. But anyway, May 19th, there's that 519 number. Oh, now we seek, we find. Number 2005 is when it comes out. We're going to do a number jump with that later. But in this film is when Palpatine, yeah, issues Order 66. And what ends up happening is the clones end up killing, or they turn on their generals, their Jedi generals, and there's almost like a bit of a coup type thing, or I don't know really what you'd call it, but not really a coup, but anyway, it's a, you know, this sort of double cross thing going on. Anyway, so Order 66. So anyway, it's just referenced with let's just put it as, it's not really the start. I think the Clone Wars are already started, but it's to do with the sort of overthrow, or the I don't know what you want to call it. It's just a political changeover, so to speak. Okay, and to do with war, I guess, or basically between the Jedi now and these so-called, you think they're the kind of peacekeepers, which they're not really the peacekeepers, but you get my idea. The policing force. Okay. Anyway, let me now get to the point, Dan. So the 66, right? What I want to do though is I really want to look at the two main characters, right? So I really want to look at Hayden Christensen and Ian McDiarmid. I don't know how you even say that. And the connection with Donald Trump and Peter Hegseth. Okay, so let's do these two first. His birthday, yeah, and then again, what is this here? I don't even know why I'm on this here. And Pete Hegseth. Okay, I want to do the difference between these two. Okay, no, that's the wrong number jump already. Here we are. So here's the difference between these two, which is interesting because we've got the 317 popping up. Okay, and obviously read that backwards, 713 with Donald Trump's ear wound. And again, the numbers with Donald Trump's ear wound on the 194th day of the year with this numerology with Hayden's birthday is quite this. We've just been talking about this connection with the ear wound and the 194 in Back to the Future in the lightning scene, and of course again the connection with Palpatine and lightning. Of course, he's got the lightning coming out of his fingers, out of his hands there. So the the connections are just very interesting. Anyway, this number jump here. Let's just check out let's click the number. Oh, don't tell me it's not going to work now. Come on, St. Patrick's Day. Yes, look at this. You just can't write this stuff. It's the 66th prime. And you know what I did the other day? I'm pretty sure I did I can't remember what the number jump was. It was like 60,606 days number jump back in time from 9/1, and it did end up on I can't remember, it's back in the 1800s, I think, but I'm sure it ended up on a St. Patrick's Day, the 17th of March. Kind of interesting with the 666 number jump back from then. Anyway, getting sidetracked again. Here's our 66, the 66th prime. Okay, do we want to click that and see if there's anything interesting about that? 11th triangular. Yeah. Look at this as well. Yeah. Prime number. The 66th composite number is 9/1. Okay, 9/1. Yeah, we've got the 47th composite right here. Dear oh dear. Anyway, so you can see that with the 47, with the 66, and then the 66 composite 91. Okay. Right. That is gets more interesting than this though. So this is interesting with the jump between these two characters, almost like Peter Hegseth is the apprentice to Donald Trump. You've got to remember as well, he is the Secretary of Defense. Okay. Okay, so that's the number jump between them two, but we also want to do a number jump between Donald Trump's birthday and this dude as well, the guy that's playing Palpatine. Okay, so he's the 11th of August 44. Let's waz to it now. 11th of August 44. Here's Donald Trump, 6/14/46, and it's 6/3. I can't read. 6/7/3. Now, I think this number's come up before for us, but I can't remember where it was. But if you click on it, right, you'll see it's the 122nd prime, which we've talked about a ton with Madonna and Die Another Day, with all those numbers in that film with the 122. This number, you know, obviously like Doc, Christopher Lloyd is a 1022 birthday. You know, we've talked about it so much. If we click 122 now, we're going to see maybe why this could be important. 122, the 91st composite. Oh, okay, so we're back to the 91 again with the 122. Super duper interesting. Okay, that is the connection between the two main characters to do with the Order 66 in Star Wars, and the two main characters to do with I guess wartime stuff would be the President and the Secretary of Defense. Don't know, it's looking kind of it just looks a bit ominous to me. Anyway, let's look at something else that is 66, a 66 reference, and yeah, we're looking at D-Day here. Yeah, so we're going back to World War II again, and now we're looking at D-Day. Yeah, we've got the same year that dude's born on, 44 again, and the 66 happens to be D-Day. Yeah, Operation Overlord. Where is it? The Allied invasion of Normandy in Operation Overlord. Blah blah blah. Code name Operation Neptune, and often referred to as D-Day. Oh, okay. So the liberation of France, or the Frank. Yeah, how many times Frank come up? Reference to Frank. Anyway, 66. Order 66. Okay. What else do I say about it? Overlord, Palpatine, Neptune. Oh my goodness. Okay. What else do I want to mention about this? So this connection with World War II. Okay, again. So we've got the connection with the start of World War II, and then coming through on this other, you know, on this 9/1 this year. Okay, for potentially something with something happening on the 1st of September this year. Okay, so if you haven't seen my other stuff on all the connections to Pi and all this other stuff, you're going to have to backtrack and just look in the back catalogue and get some of that stuff out of there. Now, here's just a little interesting side note before we move on to the Back to the Future stuff, because otherwise I'll forget to do it. Look at the Normandy coast was Normandy coast was divided into 5 sectors: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. I guess I'm saying that right. I don't know. Gold, blooming hell. Omaha. Here we go. Look at this. The guy with the Omaha call, Peyton Manning, right? Let's look at his birthday, right? Okay, through to 66 this year. Palindropic 17971. Don't forget, this 17 is super duper important with the goddess and Diana, because of course Diana born on that day and dies the day before this 9/1 date coming up. You know, obviously the 31st of August is the day before 9/1. Okay, and so when we look at this number, obviously the 7/9 gold reference in here, and just like with the beach there, with gold is the next one on. And let's click it. Look at this. I don't really know what this means, but again, it's the 2060th prime, the 2060th prime, right? Check this out. If we go now to 9-1, okay, and click this number, I don't know if I've got to include the end date here for this one, fudge it a little bit. Look at this. Now we're on the 2070th prime, 26, 27. I don't know. It's just kind of interesting that it did that. I don't know what it really means, but it's kind of special, isn't it? So Peyton Manning with the Omaha Cool. Okay. Oh dear, and this is probably a whole nother rabbit hole to do some connections with and all the rest of it. But what else did I want to show you here? Let me see. Hang on a minute. I want to get two. What was this one? Did we already do this? Okay, let's do this as well before we get off Star Wars proper. This was the release of that film, number 3. And it's interesting it's number 3 as well. Because of the idea of going from 2 to 3, from World War II to number 3. Anyway, 7411, quite a nice number. Got quite a lot of meaning, that number. But let's click it. Come on, click it or tick it. Oh, blooming hell, look at it. But it could only been better if maybe it would have been better if it had been the 941, the 940 first prime, but it's the 940th prime, the 94, which is another number that's been really tying in with this 9-1 date, and I'll show you why that is really interesting. Well, the 94 with Donald Trump. Not only do we have the ear wound thing on the 194th day of the year, so there's this kind of 9-4 playing out with Donald Trump. 9-4 is also a super duper balanced number. I'm not going to go to the chart right now, but it's at the center of one of my decode charts. Okay, 9-4, 9-8, which balances with the 1559 as well. Okay, so when you see 5 9s and 4 9s and 4 8s and 1 5s, these numbers are all balancing with each other. Well, that's a little complicated for people to understand without me showing you the chart, but trust me, that is at the middle of that chart. Anyway, what is interesting about 9-4 is, let me show you something now that also ties into Labor Day. So 9-1 this year is going to be Labor Day, and this is part of this whole idea of like rebirth and everything, going into Labor. In 2028, Donald Trump will be 30,033 days old, right? Not only that, he will be 82 years, 82 days old on 9-4, which is Labor Day again in 3 years' time. Whatever it is. Yeah. In 2028. So there's 28, 82, 28, 82. So this is also another very interesting date for the idea of the Hoover Dam break-in, for the resurrection of Donald Trump. Yeah. Okay. It's another nice date, and this is also on the dollar bill. 9-1 and 9-4 are both dates encoded on the dollar bill. Okay. Through specific number jumps, which I've shown in the back catalogue before as well. Anyway, certainly is extremely interesting with that connection. But I have shown other I've shown a lot of other interesting dates like this that happen. Like interesting numbers pop up, and nothing really happens. It just maybe is the fact that it does exist. I don't know. Anyway, I've been saying maybe this year we may be seeing something through from 9.1 to 9.4. But I don't know, you know, maybe nothing happens this year. Maybe it's all going to be in, you know, 2028. You know, it's just anybody's guess really. All we can do is just look at all the numbers and just sort of have a stab at it type thing, you know. So why don't we just go on to the I want to go on to Back to the Future. There were a couple other things that I just wanted to mention about 6.6 before we get off of sort of the random stuff with 6.6. Obviously this is connected to military type stuff that we've been on, but Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated on 6/6/68. So that's kind of interesting. Bobby, and the reason why is because we have his son in cahoots with Donald Trump right now as well, don't we? We have him doing the health stuff. So, you know, and there was that kind of joining up thing kind of to help Donald Trump win. So this is kind of another interesting tie back with them. And this is the other tie back, Tetris. I've talked about Tetris before. The importance of Tetris is you're building a wall here. Okay, so there's a connection with Donald Trump building the wall, and that is ultimately, I think, tying back to the idea of the Hoover Dam, which is a big bloody concrete wall, okay, which is the dam, which is the metaphor for the, you know, the control system, okay, the wall that keeps you enslaved or keeps you imprisoned, okay. So this is interesting with Tetris. We had all the Tetris high score stuff earlier on that we did decodes on, but again, June 6th is when it first came out in Russia or the USSR. Okay. I just thought it was interesting because we've talked about it quite a few times before. So there was the sort of main points that I picked out. There's other stuff obviously on 6.6 that we could talk about, but right now I want to just whiz into the Back to the Future stuff, okay, so we can just get that done. And we're going to Back to the Future 2 again, which has the Hoover Dam in it. And what we see here, this is when Doc, okay, and this is really what connects I think this gives us a good connection to the 66 and the 88 miles an hour. So Doc's up in the air, yeah, and he gets struck by lightning. Okay, again, this idea of, you know, the lightning coming out of Palpatine's, coming out of Palpatine's hands here, you know, hits the DeLorean. Then we have the 66 or 99 fire trails. Okay, so if that indeed was a 6.6, obviously the DeLorean wasn't actually traveling 88, but in order to time travel, it has to hit 88. So we've got the 66, and we know the DeLorean has to go to 88. So at some point, I think I read somewhere that it's spun around to 88 miles an hour or something ridiculous. Anyway, whatever the excuse is, we've got the idea when the DeLorean time travels, we've got the 88, and so we have the 66 here as well, which will take us out to 9.1. Well, guess what? It's referenced right here in the film as well. Obviously, I've mentioned this before, but this dude turns up moments later with a letter from Doc. Okay, and this letter, I don't think we can see it in this actual, they cropped it out, but in this letter that he receives from Doc, we see, that's interesting, I didn't notice that before. What we see is the date on this letter is September the 1st, and I don't have it here, but I did have it up here just so we can be sure of it. after the history. This is the letter from Doc's letter, 3-page letter sent to Marty McFly from the Western Union dudes. Yes, he's a now blacksmith. Kind of an interesting connection to myself there, because that's why I came to America, actually to be a farrier. But anyway, getting sidetracked. I came to the Wild West to be a farrier. Yes. September the 1st, 1885. Okay. So I mean, it is referenced in here. Does it make it too obvious? I'm not sure. Just like the Jaws 19, is it too obvious for the next date? Anyway, 66 through to 91 is the 88 miles an hour. Gonna see some serious SHIT. I tell you what is also interesting is when Marty goes back to rescue Doc, he's got to go and find the 1955 Doc now to get him back to the Wild West. Anyway, when Marty does that trip back, okay, and does his next 88 miles an hour, so to speak, he immediately arrives into a conflict. Okay, it's the cavalry and the Indians, but I don't know. The idea of going back to the Wild West is restarting over again. Yeah, back to a basic format, basic living, no mod cons anymore, a true reset. And I don't know, because it's kind of ominous when Donald Trump quotes Bane from again with Bane's in Back to the Future, but Bane in Batman with we're going to give you back the power back to the people, because ultimately what that means is everything that we have right now has to be destroyed in order to return to that way of life. Oof. Have I covered everything? Yeah, all the these interesting number jumps. The lightning again, the Palpatine with the lightning. I mean they're just little things that you might say, well, you're reaching there, Dan, but it's just the little things add up, don't they? After a while, I feel like I've missed out some number jumps here or something. No, that was his birthday. There wasn't anything special about it, I don't think. That was the one I was looking at for earlier. No, not really. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. What was this? Let me just check with both of them on. We've got the Donald Trump numbers coming up with the composite there. But, okay, I'm leaving it there. I think I covered everything. No, I didn't. Let me just show you the other stuff that I had in the Dramatrinator. So we went through Raccoon, Marty McFly and Pete Hegseth matching up. Peter Hegseth. Hoover Dam, Darth Vader, I thought it was worth a mention as well. The 101.47, 101.47, okay. Just thought that was worth a mention. Yeah, gonna leave it there for this one. Thank you for watching, and yeah, I don't know. maybe something, maybe nothing. I'll just show you one other thing, actually, just thinking about it now. Is if we take Michael J. Fox's birthday, okay, and run it through with the 88, we're on 94 as well. So again, interesting with the 94 connections. And of course, don't forget also that 94 is in the Lightning, the 1955 Lightning jump back home for Marty as well. So 94 is also there. So I don't know. Just some interesting stuff. All right, thanks for watching. Catch you on another one soon. All right, cheers. Bye.